Andy, the man, the myth, the legend. How you doing, mate? How you doing?
Yeah, I'm good. Thank you. Yeah,
Perfect.
you?
Asked you that twice now, obviously, because I asked that before when we came on. Everyone knows that anyway. But mate, what I wanted to sort of do is obviously you're 6 weeks inside the program now. Obviously, you've joined, this court quite recently, and generally just sort of catch up and gives people a bit of an insight into even in 6 weeks what you can be able to do. So let's sort of touch upon you, mate. How would you introduce yourself for anyone who doesn't know who you are, buddy?
Yeah, so I'm a family person. I run my own business. I work hard. I have highs and I have lows throughout my days and my weeks and my life. And I am aware of what's going on, but I'm not always able to counter that with the right answer, if you like. Okay, so therefore, my problem is I suffer from sort of big ups and big downs.
Okay.
Both physically, mentally, emotionally, and for me, it's about leveling that out and how I can start to change that, plan better, put things in place to be able to combat that, and to actually, just create a smoother ride for myself and my family, and be physically, mentally more stable.
And like the biggest thing there, dude, like you are busy. That's what we find with a lot of lads. Like you've got a lot of stuff that you've got on your plate, and it's not just busy. Like you're managing teams, you're a high performance job. Like you've got great business, you've got family, you've got and a social life. You've got all these things that are going on, and that generally I find in today's society is quite a lot of blokes, especially dads. There's always something we're balancing. And when we first sort of, we've been speaking for ages now. It very often happens with some of the guys that I talk to over my page or just in generally. Like before the program, what do you feel like was lacking in sort of your structure, your planning? What were the problems that you kept running into, dude?
I think the biggest word is consistency, right? So, shit happens, right? And that's always going to be the case. It's how you deal with that. And I will go on 3-4 weeks of eating perfectly, working out really well, and then stuff would happen, and suddenly that capitulates into complete lack of exercise, lack of moving, bad eating, bad decisions, and then that leads to angst at home and shortness with the kids and not doing things. Before you know it, you're 6-8 weeks down the line, you're like, oh, I've really got to do something about myself again. And so you pick yourself back up and you're back on it for another 4 weeks, and then something else happens, and you're back up and back up and back up. So I think that consistency and that planning is so important, and then having that check, having some of the other people in the group just keep checking you. Dale sends me a little text every Sunday about the 5K, and I'm sat on the couch going, I've got to go and do something now, right? I can't let him do that, and I'm sat here on the couch. So you've got that kind of accountability, not just to yourself, but to everyone else in the group who are out doing things or have got the same tasks or have got the same problems as you, and they're going doing it. So why can't you go and do it?
I think that's a massive thing that a lot of guys do struggle with as well, is like you said, is focus, clarity, direction, and consistency throughout that. It's not being focused once a week or focused once a minute. Sorry, once every now and again. It's like consistent focus. And that was a huge thing we've talked about quite a lot. And like, coming into that, we talk a lot about neuroscience and brain. And you shared a great fact with me, which I love that, by the way, about McDonald's and the reason why yellow is that color is so that they get you out the shop quickly, and there's so many different things. But do you find, and this is why I said I wanted to record this asking this question, since already you've only been in the program 6 weeks, obviously we've got another 20 weeks and beyond that we're gonna be really working together, but like when you look at the last 6 weeks, like you've said, having that accountability, having that purpose, that structure, that planning, do you feel like it's almost slightly, I wouldn't say brainwashing, but because you're immersed in the process, you're getting a constant reminder of that you are trying to improve? Does it almost feel like it makes life so much simpler to take the actions that you need to be? Does that make sense?
Like you said, it makes you, like I said before, it makes you not just accountable to yourself and your family, your wife, but it makes you accountable to a bigger group of people who are all got their own problems, all got their own goals, all got their own things. So if they can do it, then so can I, right? And there's no excuse, there's nowhere to hide, and it's like you just got to be true to yourself. And
Boom.
I think that's the biggest thing, right? It's great having you sending me all these horrible things to do, but it's even better having everyone else going, I've just nailed my rowing for 30 minutes. I've just hammered a 5K in 25 minutes. And it's like, all right, okay, well,
Let's
you
go.
can do it. I can do it. So, I think that's the big thing about it, that community, that group of people driving things on.
And to give guys a little bit of an insight, like where would you say, I know, but it's always good to also get from you, where would you score your confidence and direction of everything and clarity prior to the program? 1 to 10, where were you 6 weeks ago? Let's look at that, and then we'll look at what we are now.
I think my problem was, Alex, I could go from 10 to 0 in a day.
Yeah.
And that was that mental and emotional slump from feeling great to, oh shit,
Yeah.
That's so I think where I'm now, I'm a consistent 7, 8. I know what I'm doing. I know what I'm doing next week. I know what I'm doing the week after. I know what I'm doing the next 20 weeks. And that's kind of that path. I'm never going to be a professional athlete. I'm never going to be a bodybuilder. I'm never, I don't want to be, but I have a plan to say, well, actually, I want to be content and I want to be happy within myself.
And that's the gold. That's the gold bullet there. Like, we're not, we always talk about, I don't want to make cover models, and I don't give a fuck about that. I'm not interested. Like, someone else can do that. Like, for me, like, I just want to make perfect versions of Andy for his kids, for his family. And that's the biggest thing, like you said, is that was huge when you weren't consistent. And I've had it, mate, with Becca before, when I, didn't have Isaac or didn't have my own coaches or any of that. Like, you'd be so inconsistent and your mood would go up and down, and it does affect other things as well as fitness, doesn't it? Did you find that prior to potentially that was a problem you were having as well?
Yeah, because you don't make time for the fitness element, Ryan. And
yeah.
I've never been a friend of going to the gym or doing exercise. It's always been part of my life. So I've always, and I know that it's a stimulus for me to let off steam to do whatever I need to do, but I get frustrated when I can't do it and I don't have that outlet.
Yeah.
So not planning it in and not making sure I've got protected time to do that is an absolute killer for me. It's like that just builds frustration. It builds anxiety almost, right? It's like gym anxiety, for Christ's sake. It's like, I can't go to the gym, whereas a lot of people are, I don't want to go to the gym.
Yeah.
It's almost the other way around, and that makes it even worse, because you then, the crash is even bigger at that point. So having that, just those tools that stupidly, like, I deal with every day. I tell people every day in my job, but having someone else just go, oi, what's your plan for the week? What are you eating? Simple things, right? It's not rocket science, but it's just holding you to it.
The biggest thing about what we coach you guys to do, which is the craziest thing, isn't it, is it's not rocket science. It's just sometimes it's a plan that we want you to put together as yourself and as me. And I'm not teaching you to fish. I'm teaching you to fish, not fishing for you. That's the biggest thing. There are parts where we fish for you, obviously, because it makes your life easy. But then, like you say, is that it's the whole thing for me is to coach you to be able to almost be able to do this yourself. And like you said, you've already gone from inconsistency, up and down, mentally, mood swings, up to a good level playing field. What do you see now for the next 20 odd weeks? Even just in this short period that we've gone through, 6 weeks so far, we've got another 20 weeks and beyond to go, like inside the program. But what do you see your future looking like so far, Andy?
So I think I kind of break it down to 3 areas, right? So there's the physical piece, right? So the goals are to lose some weight and to gain some muscle and look better and feel better. So I think everyone's in it for that kind of thing. You'd be crazy if you weren't, right? Yeah. Certainly doing all that exercise, something's going to happen, right? Yeah. I think mental stability is a huge piece of that, consistency, that stability. So just to keep going on that, right? So keep being planned. If I can look back in 20 weeks' time and go, I've done 20 weeks of consistency.
Yeah.
And I can't see how that won't pay off either for me physically, my family, my job, it will, because the science says, you'll be in a better place. So 100%. Scientifically, we know that's going to be the right way to go. And mentally and physically and all that stuff, So I think those two, mentally and physically in a better place. And I think the third one is, if I can look back over 20 weeks and beyond, right, and I can say I've been part of a community and I've met some new people virtually, maybe physically, and actually help them, then that will be great as well, because I think I think you kind of owe it to the group to give something back to it. So I think
100%.
That would be great as well.
That's the biggest thing about our, program and the level that we go to. It's not about single individuals getting a trophy or standing on a stage or any of that bollocks. I'm not really interested in that. Like, it's about a community. It's, like the Marines, like the Paras, like Tom talked about last night, didn't he? Like, when you're around that like-minded group of blokes who are business owners, they're lads trying to get into the military, they're guys that are running, families, they're all these normal people that just want to be a better version of themselves. You tend to elevate yourself up, which is massive. And it's not an ego driven thing. It is a case of we're there to support and help each other. And, I posted Dale's testimonial, which I know you're great friends, which I love, by the way, because obviously you've got connections about the football and all that stuff, which is fantastic. But like, even if it is a bit banter, I think that's the biggest thing, like Dale put, is that it's a no judgment community. So when there are problems that people can't solve themselves, they present them to the group or to me or to even you. And that's then what we can solve as a like-minded group of people put together to find the solution. And would you say that if there's another guy in your position, Andy, that was, 6 weeks ago, or even, I say, mate, we've been talking for a while now, but like, would you recommend already what you've already gone through if someone feels like they're ready to take action or they need to take action? Would you recommend what we do, even in the short space of time you've gone through?
Yeah, 100%. Absolutely, 100%. I think the one thing I would say is you have to do it for yourself, right? You can't pull me into this. My wife can't push me into this.
Yeah.
Knowing someone that's part of the thing can't pull you into it. You've got to do it for yourself. And if you do that and you make that step, then 100% you'll benefit from it.
Do you think, and do you feel like we have the ability to, and potentially have already, change men's lives and change potentially your life, change the next guy's lives? Do you feel like this is something that really can help guys change their life for the good?
Yeah, 100%. You're not just learning tools how to exercise and go to the gym and do some running, right? Or be a commando or whatever, right? You're learning life skills. Some of those things that, my kids are getting sick of me saying, "Dad, stop saying accountability." And I'm like, wow,
brilliant. I love
only
that.
You can do the spelling test. There's only you can do the reading, right? I can help you and give you the tools to do it. You're accountable for it. And they're getting sick and tired of me. So yeah, you're learning you're learning skills that you can use, and you should be able to use it in the whole of your life. So yeah,
Mate,
absolutely, 100%.
I'll have to send a letter to you, your kids, Dale's kids, everyone's kids, really, and be like, apologise, because it does happen though when you improve as a dad and as a business owner or as a partner. All these other people will get a positive influence, which I absolutely fucking love. But mate, this has been fantastic, and genuinely like like what we've done so far, it's been amazing so far. And even looking at the future now, I know that you're going to smash this. I always knew that. That's why we've obviously continued to talk through stuff. But anyway, lads, if anyone wants to drop Andy a message and talk about his time in the program, I'm sure he won't mind, as well as obviously dropping me a message. And I just wanted to really show, like, even in 6 weeks, not the whole 6 months, not the whole 12 months, not the whole whatever, like even in 6 weeks, what's achievable. But mate, you've smashed it. As well as that as well, like there's been a few standout things which I suppose actually can't go unspoken, like deadlift. What happened with deadlift, backs? Okay, actually, we'll go into this. What have been some real big wins for you? Let's talk about those, and then I'll stop myself because I can talk.
Yeah, the deadlift was a good one, right? The 210, not been above 200 before, so 210. I tried 220 at the weekend and failed, but I got it above my shins, so it's good. You don't know what the weight's like until you take it on.
And bearing in mind, right, just to give people context, that's while prepping for a triathlon. So you're doing endurance-based activities while you're pulling those deadlifts. So mate, that's fair fucking play. Like, as I say, it's amazing, really.
And I've done, I don't know what I'm about 18k a week, something like that at the minute, which is again kind of where I was 3 years ago, pre-COVID. But that's when you had time and you had nothing else to do but run. So yeah, I'm kind of there. And squats were at 220, I think, something like that. Yeah, 220s.
Yeah.
And my bench was at bench above 100 unspotted. So yeah, I was chuffed with that.
Yeah.
What did I push today? Did overhead press at 80 kilos today.
Strong, like you getting stronger, getting leaner, getting endurance is going up, confidence is going up. Generally, nothing else to ask, really.
Can't do a pull-up or a press-up to save my life.
We'll get there though. We'll get there. Don't worry about that. And I think the biggest thing is, I talked about it in my story today, and like in general, I always talk about with you lads. Like me and you have had a lot of conversations that are about finding solutions to problems. They're not just focusing on problems. And I always say that, don't know, like you are the advocate and really a good representation of someone that's asking me for solutions, not just telling me the problems, which is great because we go through that all the time. But mate, it's genuinely awesome. Sorry, carry on if you want any finishing.
Yeah, no, I was just saying, I'd get fired if I keep bringing people problems. Like
Yeah,
I said,
fuck that.
it's
It's
the
mad.
easiest thing in the world. So
Yeah, yeah.
you've got to come with a solution, and that means you've got to think about it, and sometimes you've got to write it down. Right, that's a big one. Write it down and then stick to it.
And then just like I always say, like, go into everything with an open mind about you could be wrong and you could be right. You know, when you fix mind on something that, oh, I'm right, this is the only way. Sometimes actually I say that as well. I'll go, I'm not always right. Like I'm willing if you present me with what I think you think is a better solution. Like we've had this conversation before, and actually we go, oh, actually that will work better because it works better for you. And it's like, well, yeah, of course, that's brilliant. But as I say, I could talk for England, so I'll stop recording now. But lads, you know, great representation of someone inside 6 weeks who can absolutely skyrocket everything, which has been amazing. And obviously, you know where to find us both. We should do if you're watching this. So anyway, catch you in a bit. Perfect.